On the debate tonight, the controversy over terror-accused Pragya Thakur contesting elections continues. The NIA court has dismissed the plea against Malegaon blast-accused Pragya Thakur's candidature in the Lok Sabha polls. Citing that the court has no basis to stop Pragya from contesting, it has tossed the ball in the Election Commission's court, saying that this is a call for the EC to take.
The court said that NIA cannot go ahead and now keep repeating that there is no prima facie case against her. Fact of the matter is that now the court has dismissed this particular intervention application.
The court, upon hearing all the sides, has passed an order and has rejected the application of the interveners. The court has observed that the correct forum for such exercise would be the Election Commission.
And as India debates if a terror accused should be allowed to contest elections, the BJP has put all its might behind Pragya Thakur and her candidature.
जिस प्रकार का फर्जी केस प्रज्ञा ठाकुर पर डाला गया और पूरे देश की संस्कृति को विश्व भर के अंदर बदनाम किया गया, भारी गुस्सा है लोग।
मैं जिम्मेदारी से कहता हूं, हमने भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने दिग्विजय सिंह के मुकाबले के लिए साध्वी प्रज्ञा सिंह को अपना उम्मीदवार बनाया और अपनी इस बहन पे हम गर्व करते हैं।
Meanwhile, Pragya Thakur continues making controversial and polarizing comments. After she insulted 2611 martyr Hemant Karkare, she also claimed that she helped bring down Babri Masjid. While Pragya Thakur claims that those who are against her candidature are politically motivated, the Election Commission is yet to take action against her. Mirror now asks, will the Election Commission at least now make its stand clear on Pragya Thakur? Let's debate.
In spite of all of the complaints that the Election Commission has received about this particular candidate, it has remained surprisingly quiet about the action it plans to take. Simple question, when will the Election Commission make its stand clear about candidate Pragya Thakur? On the show with me, Anup George Chaudhary, former Advocate General of Madhya Pradesh, Mr. K.K. Manan, Senior Advocate with the Delhi High Court, very senior criminal lawyer, Vivekanand Natram, RSS supporter, Raman Malik for the BJP, Urmilesh is a senior journalist, Kailash Vasudev, senior advocate, and in the studio with me, my colleague Mandar Fanse, senior news editor at Mirror Now. I welcome all of you to this conversation and I thank you for joining us. Everyone will make an opening statement, after which we'll open for rebuttals. I would request our guests to not interrupt anyone else while they are speaking. Opening statements from Mr. Kailash Vasudev. Mr. Vasudev, good evening. The court has said very clearly that it's not within the jurisdiction of the court to decide on whether Pragya Thakur should be allowed to contest this election or not. That is really for the election officers to decide. But the Election Commission has been very quiet about this candidate. Do you think it's time that the Election Commission makes its stand clear?
Good evening. There are two aspects to this.
Yes.
First, cancellation of bail should have been moved by the prosecution. Interveners have no jurisdiction in the matter. If they feel, if the prosecution is of the opinion that she was granted bail on medical grounds, as was mentioned earlier, and she was abusing the medical grounds situation, they could have easily asked for cancellation of bail. Interveners in a bail application, to my mind, have a very limited role. Election Commission has been lax in such matters right from the very beginning, right from 1950 onwards. In the early 2000s, there were certain directions given by the Supreme Court which said that you will file all your criminal antecedent information along with a nomination paper. When that judgment came, it was sought to be stultified by inserting Section 33B to the Representation of People Act. Supreme Court once again came down heavily and said 33B is a bad provision, but it didn't strike it down. They said 33 and the other provisions do protect them. The Model Code of Conduct has come into play, in which there is only a reference to this, but no teeth. Now, I'm giving you this background essentially to tell you that in all these matters, it is the court which has come into the play for the purposes of telling the general public, look, people with criminal antecedents must disclose their antecedents and give information. Election Commission is not doing anything in this because the politicians won't permit any law to come in which prevents a person with criminal antecedents from contesting elections. Any attempt to do so by the Election Commission or by the courts have been thwarted and will be thwarted because the entire political machinery or the politicians today have been criminalized in a very bad way. If you see the statistics with regard to the constitution of houses, and it is a sad disclosure that there are so many people with such heinous crimes against them who contest elections, succeed and become members of the House. So therefore, as the Election Commission is concerned, it has got no teeth at this point of time. It has not been given any teeth, and it is not taking any steps. What it can do is reject a nomination if it is improper, but it can do nothing for the purposes of cancellation of the nomination based on conduct of a person. It is a moral code of conduct, and it is not a code of conduct which is statutory. My view is Election Commission can at the most implicate this lady and say that, look, you've done some things which are immoral. You can pass strictures against her. You can stop her from making any statements. But to stop her from contesting the election, now the Election Commission doesn't have the teeth. It never will have it. Nobody wants to give it that teeth.
Mr. K.K. Manan, Senior Advocate with the Delhi High Court. Mr. Manan, I also want to ask you about the bail application or the conditions of bail. Now, Pragya Thakur was granted bail on health conditions because it was submitted to the court that she was suffering from cancer and was unable to walk without support. And the court very clearly said that she would be released on bail in order to receive treatment. She has, over the last 3 days on national television, declared that she is cancer-free from treatment she received with a mixture, if I'm not mistaken, Mandar, of Gomutra and Gobar. If she is cancer-free, is there room of reconsideration of her bail application and the conditions now? Mr. Manan.
So far as Pragya Thakur is concerned, case is very clear. She has been released on bail, though on medical grounds, but it is a regular bail. Now it is up to the investigating agency or the prosecution to move an application under section 439 subsection 2 of the CRPC for cancellation of bail because her major and the main ground was of a medical ground. But if she is contesting election, she is hale and hearty, and she was in custody for the last about 9 years. So for that purpose, even if she was released on a regular bail, bail will not be easily cancelled because for grant of bail, the rules are totally different than the cancellation of bail.
Okay.
For bail cancellation, we require that she is misusing the grant of bail. For that purpose, that she is threatening witnesses, she is tampering the prosecution evidence, and she is running away from the court, and she is not appearing in the court. So for cancellation of a bail, there are different grounds for instead of granting of bail. In this case, bail was granted on a medical ground. Now it is purely up to the investigating agency to move an application that she is hale and hearty, and she has taken the ground wrongly, and she has fabricated and she has falsely filed all the medical evidence, medical certificates, which requires verification, and it must be these medical certificates must have been verified before granting the bail, and everybody knows it that somewhere even the NIA, the investigating agency,
Mr. Manan,
given a
forgive
clean
me.
chit to her, but the court was not ready.
Mr. Manan, forgive me, I have to interrupt you because the audio is not clear, and I will come back to you with that question as soon as my producers have an opportunity to clear up that audio. I'll take the question again to Mr. Chaudhary. Mr. Chaudhary, former Advocate General of Madhya Pradesh. Mr. Chaudhary, is it necessary now for the NIA, or is the NIA the only person or the only agency that can contest the bail in court? And is it, like Mr. Manan was telling us, it's very difficult at this point to contest that the grounds of that bail?
It's a very amusing situation because NIA had never opposed her bail in the first instance. And even now, there was a statement from, as I read in the papers today, from the NIA, that there is nothing against her. Now, how do you expect an agency which says there is nothing against her to come and say that please cancel her bail? However, the High Court which granted the bail has inherent powers, and it can suo motu take notice as well, or somebody else can bring it to the notice of the court, that the grounds on which the bail were granted, one, were either under false pretenses, or the grounds on which the bail was granted no longer exist. Therefore, question of her being out on bail is not legally required. It can always be said. But the question is, who is going to say this? Unless the complainant moves an application, because under 482, inherent powers can be invoked by anybody. And if a person is interested, if there is a person, I believe we read in the paper there was somebody interested who was a relative of some of the persons who was killed, and he has moved in the Supreme Court that the bail should be cancelled. The cancellation of bail is another thing, and withdrawal of that order of bail under exercising under inherent powers are two different things altogether. And this is not one of those cases where K.K. Manan was just iterating the points that on which ground the bail is granted, and then cancellation has a different parameter altogether. But this is more or less to say that the ground on which the bail was granted no longer exists. Or, because nobody is going to say here that the bail was obtained in false pretenses, on false pretenses. Who is going to say this? Obviously, when the prosecution has not opposed her bail, when the prosecution yesterday or today, this morning is saying there is no case against her, although the charges have been framed, the trial is still going on, and the very prosecution agency's investigation agency on which basis she is facing prosecution has said that there is no case against her. I mean,
so actually, that brings me to the next question, Mr. Chaudhary. Yes, and I want to bring in my colleague Mandar here. Mandar, so here's, let's take this one step further. The trial is still on, and it is the prosecution that has to represent the people in court. But the prosecution has repeatedly reiterated that there's no case against her. So what sort of prosecution is going to be made available in court at all if the NIA has constantly said we have no case? So what is the quality of the prosecution? What has happened in this case so far?
Just to connect the dots, Faye, basically, it's a simple thing to basically connect in between, because the timeline is very clear in front of all of us, and not just that, the three agencies where the Haryana SIT was there, Maharashtra ATS was there, and the NIA was there. NIA was much later entered into the overall scenario, while the Samjhauta blast has happened in 2007. There are three incidences.
But one second, before you go further, isn't it true that the NIA appealed to the court that the Malegaon blast be transferred to the NIA because they were investigating Samjhauta, and they found connections between Samjhauta and Malegaon, and eventually they have found no evidence against anybody in Samjhauta and no evidence against anyone in Malegaon.
Yeah, and one more case about Sunil Joshi's murder, who happens to be the most important connecting link between these two things, because Sunil Joshi's murder, which has happened in December 29, 2007, when he was killed, 2014, when NIA assumed the investigation of further investigation of the Sunil Joshi case as well, and therefore the role of NIA since beginning, whether it is Samjhauta blast case, or for that matter Sunil Joshi's case, or then afterwards the Malegaon case. So all these three cases were completely
and the Masjid
not
blast
taken.
in Hyderabad?
And Masjid blast and the Ajmer case as well. So all these things put together, if we see the lackadaisical approach of NIA is very quite evident. And not just that, I'll just take you a little behind that particular thing of three specific things. In the earlier stage, when Haryana SIT has found the links of Indore, and while the Haryana SIT was investigating all the Indore links, and when they found certain things which were connecting to Indore people, and then Mr. Karkare has found all these connects with the Indore people itself. So all these people which seemingly used to be in the larger conspiracy was not really taken very seriously by NIA even after 7 years when they entered into the overall situation.
Isn't it also true, Mandar, that a lot of the documentation in this particular case, in the Malegaon blast case, just simply went missing from the court? So all of the statements made to the magistrate are missing.
everything is missing. If we say basically the evidences, the circumstantial evidences, nothing was taken seriously. It seems that SIT or ATS of both the two states, especially Maharashtra and Haryana, who were really investigating it far more closer to the crime. If we tend to believe to the processes which they followed, because these officers were competent officers, there was no doubt and two ways about their credibility. So if they have gone so close to this case, finding out those circumstantial evidences, what has happened with those investigation, with those evidences, nobody knows. So NIA so by far seems to be a very, very close tight situation, and they are not really taking it seriously as far as the theories, because they since beginning they are denying these theories of having those Hindu people, Hindu right-wing people into this blast, or for that matter in the Malegaon blast.
Right. Let me bring in Raman Malik of the BJP. Mr. Malik, do you believe that the Election Commission should simply come out and make the stand clear? If the Election Commission believes that Pragya Thakur should be allowed to contest, shouldn't they just come out and say it and make it clear?
Faye, I think I've heard everybody very calmly, and I hope you will not be uncourteous to me. Now let me start off. I believe all of the people who have commented till now have a poisonous bias against her, and I say it on facts. Why I say it on facts, like Mr. George is there or the other gentleman was there, was that point number 17 in the 2016 order very clearly states that accordingly she is exonerated from all charges prima facie and there is no case against her, and hence she becomes entitled to be released on bail. It is wrong to say that it was only the health grounds.
Read the full point, Mr. Malik.
And no other grounds. So correct your facts there. I am reading the full point. I am reading the full issue. I am not, law is about interpretation, and law is about interpretation, not about somebody's whims and fancies. I will carry on to the next point which I would like to present here. The point number 103 says, thus there is enough doubt about the motorcycle of which the appellant is a registered owner was found at the spot of incident. Further, the point number 7 also says, this shows that the appellant was not in possession of the said motorcycle since much prior to the incident. These are material facts which cannot be ignored. Further, in point 115, it says the above facts and circumstances, in our opinion, if both the reports of ATS and NIA are to be considered conjointly, so far the appellant is concerned, it cannot be said that there are reasonable grounds for believing that the accusation made on her are prima facie true. Once it is held so, then the benefit of bail cannot be withheld from the applicant, even if the offence alleged against her by ATS are grave and serious one.
What is your argument?
My point further goes to today's hearing. I am putting my argument, Faye. Do not get disturbed. Do not get disturbed. The further provision says, that the bail was granted by Honorable High Court only on the health grounds, but and not any other grounds is totally incorrect. Number 1. Number 2, People's Representation Act, Section 4, I believe, Part 4 of 8 says it very clear how it works. And if that is so, what is the problem? What is the problem when you are okay with a person being your Prime Minister, being our Prime Minister, who was able to become a Prime Minister after the killing of 15 lakh people and 2.5 crore people getting displaced? or the democracy being hanged in 75, or Sikhs being butchered in 84, they were also terrorizing acts. If you can accept them as Prime Minister, at least you can leave this on the wisdom of the people to select them or not to select. Why are you so biased? And then comes the basic fact that if you run with these theories and you are okay with these theories, why can't you play the devil's advocate and say, what if she was implicated into this? When have you debated that point, that it could be that she could be implicated into it? What are the possibilities of that? Have you ever talked about it? No, you did not. Because the bias did not let you do so.
Okay.
So my question here is, are we here to debate on neutrality, or we are over here to debate with bias in mind?
Okay, so your argument is that the panel is biased. All right, fair enough. Mr. Urmilesh has not spoken yet. Urmilesh ji,
Obviously biased.
Okay, Mr. Urmilesh ji, what is आपकी राय क्या है? क्या इसी को अभी साफ-साफ कहनी चाहिए कि उनकी स्टैंड क्या है अभी प्रज्ञा ठाकुर की कैंडिडेचर लेके?
देखिए, आपके पैनल में दो सीनियर एडवोकेट हैं और दोनों ने अपनी बात कही है बहुत अच्छे ढंग से। तो मैं कानूनी मामलों का उतना बड़ा जानकार नहीं हूं जितना ये दोनों वकील हैं, लेकिन मैं इतने वर्षों से जो एक पॉलिटिकल अफेयर्स को कवर करने वाले जर्नलिस्ट के तौर पे मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि इसकी जो लीगल पेचीदगियां हैं इस पूरे मामले की, उसमें गए बगैर अगर हम पहले ये देखें जो उनका कैंडिडेचर है भोपाल से, हम उस पर बात करें और इलेक्शन कमीशन का जो एंगल है उस पर बात करें, उसमें हम 2-3 पॉइंट पर अपनी बात रखना चाहते हैं। पहली बात तो एनआईए कोर्ट ने भी ये बात कही एनआईए के बारे में कि भाई आपके पास अगर सबूत नहीं है तो ये चार्जशीट क्यों आया, आप क्यों नहीं, आप कहते हैं कि एविडेंसेज नहीं है, लेकिन फिर ये चार्जशीट कैसे आ गया इतना बड़ा? तो उसने एक तरह से एनआईए के बारे में ये बता दिया कि मौजूदा सरकार के दौरान एनआईए का उस केस के बारे में क्या अप्रोच, क्या तौर तरीका, क्या उनका दृष्टिकोण रहा है। और ये महज संजोग नहीं है कि 2014 के बाद इस तरह की जितनी केसेज हैं सभी केसेज में कोई एक्सेप्शन नहीं है, एनआईए का अप्रोच एटीट्यूड इसी तरह का रहा है। पहली बात तो यह है। दूसरी बात, देखिए, पाकिस्तान में हाफिज सईद हों या मसूद अजहर हों या उनके बहुत सारे लोग हैं, उनको भी चुनाव लड़ने की आज़ादी रही है। हालांकि हाफिज सईद और मसूद अजहर को वहां की पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ने कभी चुनाव लड़ने की के लिए नॉमिनेट नहीं किया अपने कैंडिडेट के रूप में। अब आप कह सकते हैं कि साहब आप तुलना क्यों कर रहे हैं? तुलना इसलिए कर रहे हैं कि वो भी वहां एक्यूज्ड है, वो कन्विक्टेड नहीं है। ठीक उसी तरह से ये जो प्रज्ञा सिंह ठाकुर हैं वो भी कन्विक्टेड नहीं है। तो कन्विक्टेड नहीं होने की वजह से भारत के कानून के हिसाब से वो चुनाव अगर लड़ना चाहती हैं तो शायद, मैं बहुत ज्यादा जानकार नहीं हूं, लेकिन जो मेरी थोड़ी बहुत जानकारी है उसके हिसाब से उसमें बहुत बड़ी समस्या नहीं है। लेकिन आप देखिए कानून में कैसे छेद हैं कि हार्दिक पटेल इसके हिसाब से चुनाव लड़ने के मामले में ज्यादा बड़े क्रिमिनल साबित होते हैं, जिनके ऊपर आरोप क्या है कि उन्होंने एक रैली के दौरान जो किया उससे अशांति भंग हुई और कई लोग जो उसमें घायल हुए, मरे वगैरह वगैरह। तो उसको कन्विक्ट कर दिया गया और लोअर कोर्ट से जब कन्विक्शन, जी 2 साल, तो उसके आधार पर उनका कैंडिडेचर खत्म हो गया। लेकिन प्रज्ञा सिंह ठाकुर, जिन पर इतना बड़ा गंभीर मामला है और उस गंभीर मामले में कि बम विस्फोट है, और न केवल वही एक केस, बहुत सारी और केसेज रही हैं जिसमें निपटारा हुआ, जिसमें कुछ केसेज में उनको कहा गया कि नहीं वो इन्वॉल्व नहीं है, लेकिन गंभीर ढंग का उसकी एनालिसिस या उसकी खोज पड़ताल नहीं की गई। आज की तारीख में मैं इसलिए तुलना कर रहा हूं हाफिज सईद और मसूद अजहर से कि जब वो कहती हैं कि हेमंत करकरे उनके श्राप से मरा, यानी वो चाहती थी कि हेमंत करकरे मारा जाए, मसूद अजहर भी यही चाहता था कि वो मारा जाए। तो अगर हेमंत करकरे की मृत्यु की आकांक्षा या दोनों को एक ही इच्छा थी कि हेमंत करकरे मारा जाए, तो मैं समझता हूं कि भारत के लिए, भारत की सुरक्षा के लिए दोनों में कितनी समानता है और इस देश की जनता को मैं समझता हूं कि ये जरूर फील करना चाहिए। दूसरी बात कि देखिए बड़ा मामला ये नहीं है कि एनआईए कोर्ट में क्या हो रहा है और एनआईए एजेंसी के तौर पे क्या कर रही है। बड़ा मामला यह है कि देश की जो सत्ताधारी पार्टी है, जो इस देश की सबसे बड़ी नहीं ब्रह्मांड की सबसे बड़ी पार्टी अपने को बताती है, विश्व की सबसे बड़ी पार्टी, तो उस पार्टी के इतने पराक्रमी नेता हैं इस देश में, बड़े बड़े नेता हैं, क्या उनको भोपाल से कोई राजनीतिक व्यक्ति नहीं मिला? क्या वजह है कि उन्होंने प्रज्ञा सिंह ठाकुर को वहां खड़ा करने का प्रस्ताव किया, जबकि इतने गंभीर मामले की वो अभियुक्त हैं? कोई वो आंदोलन की अभियुक्त नहीं है। चलिए आडवाणी जी के बारे में कहा जा सकता है कि आडवाणी जी पर बाबरी डिमोलिशन का केस एक पॉलिटिकल ढंग का केस है जिसमें रिलीजियस फंडामेंटलिज्म भी इन्वॉल्व है। मैं इनको हिंदू आतंकी भी नहीं कहता, ऐसी गलती करने की हिमाकत मैं नहीं कर सकता। मैं इनको भगवा आतंकी भले कह सकता हूं, या इस तरह के मुझे लगता है इन शब्दावलियों में भी अंतर किया जाना चाहिए। किसी इस्लामी आतंकी कहने से ज्यादा बेहतर है हिजबुल का आतंकी कहो या किसी और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का नाम ले लो, किसी धर्म के नाम पर किसी आतंकी को मुझे लगता है आइडेंटिफाई नहीं किया जाना चाहिए। तो भगवा इस तरह का आतंकवाद एक हकीकत रही है। हेमंत करकरे ने पूरी थीसिस दी, पूरी एनालिसिस की, उस पूरी पड़ताल की, और हेमंत करकरे केवल उसमें नहीं थे, अनेक लोग इन्वॉल्व थे। तो मुझे लगता है कि सुनील जोशी की हत्या से लेकर बहुत सारे मामले हैं जिनकी पड़ताल इस देश में होनी चाहिए थी, लेकिन उस समय की कांग्रेस सरकार के दौरान भी कोताही हुई, बेहतर ढंग का इन्वेस्टिगेशन नहीं हुआ, और आज तो 2014 से ये सरकार में और भी बंटाधार हो चुका है इस पूरे मामले में।
I'm also going to give a comment to Mr. K.K. Manan because we interrupted him while he was speaking. I'm sure Mr. Manan, the other point that the EC has not responded on is the comment that Pragya Thakur made on national television that she was present when the Babri Masjid was demolished and she took part in that demolition. She climbed on top of the dome and she broke it. It is very clear that this is against the law, but no action has been taken by any sort of police. Do you believe that the Election Commission at least should do more than perhaps send a show cause notice, which is what they've done until now?
You see, the Election Commission is now taking actions. They have taken action against Navjot Sidhu, Azam Khan, even Mr. Yogi, number of other persons also, but they have not taken any cognizance so far as Pragya Singh is concerned. But my learned friend that who is a spokesman of BJP, he says all the panelists are biased. How you can say this? Have I said anything against her? I told you and then explained what is the law, whether the bail can be cancelled or not, medical ground or even otherwise. I said in crystal clear words that bail can't be cancelled easily. But I know the habit of you people. You are supremo in this country now. Wait for till 23rd. Time will come, you will not be able to speak like this on the panel against the panelists like this. I'm sorry to say all this because we are not against Pragya Singh. We are not for Pragya Singh. We are not belonging to any party. At least I am not any party politics. I said and I stated each and everything which is as per the law. And so far as the election is concerned, nobody can stop her to contest the election. If you will remember that even that the lady, the name of that dacoit, she contested election on the ticket of Samajwadi Party, at that time Mulayam Singh's party, Phulan Devi. She was not stopped by anybody. Even this Pragya Singh was in jail for 9 years. If she was so innocent, why the bail was not granted earlier to her?
Yes.
Why was she not discharged by the court earlier? She was not still discharged from the court. Court said prima facie case is made out. So far as section, you see the sections are against that lady. You know what are the sections?
Yes.
Waging war against the state. Waging war against the state. This is the charge against her. She has not been discharged. Even otherwise, I can give an example. Sitting Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, sitting Deputy Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, number of serious cases, including the murder, have been dropped by the investigating agencies and court has accepted the plea. You see that it is the irony. This is the unfortunate of the nation. You see that as one of the panelists said, 125 crore people in this country. At least in Bhopal also more than 25 lakh people. Nobody was there to contest the election who has clean antecedents, but at the same time, not only this party, Bharatiya Janata Party, you will find in Samajwadi Party, you will find in Congress, you will find in RJD, you will find in another various parties where the tickets have been distributed for those people who have good cases against them.
Yes.
Serious cases against them.
I just...
They don't...
Yes, Mr. Manan. I also want to give an opportunity to Mr. Vasudev. Just one moment. Mr. Vasudev, and before you come in, let me just point out to the audience that in March 2010, the Bombay High Court first rejected a bail application from Pragya Thakur. In September 2011, the Supreme Court rejected a bail application by Pragya Thakur. And then in April 2017, there was a third bail application that was placed before the Bombay High Court on health grounds, which is the one that was finally accepted. Mr. Kailash Vasudev, do you have a response or a rebuttal to Raman Malik and his accusation and his rebuttal to our arguments that the panel is biased?
Mr. Malik, you're a respectable member of parliament. You have held positions in life. You have grown very well.
I'm not, sir.
We who appear on panels, we who appear in these kind of debates...
I'm not a member of parliament, sir.
We do not have any partisan views. I mean, you would be. You're entitled to be. But in your walk of life,
right next to you,
like
sir,
you have grown, we have also grown.
The person sitting right next to you, presumably a journalist, I would like to rebut to him whatever he said.
No, one second. Just allow Mr. Vasudev to finish speaking and I'll give you a chance.
Please rebut. I want to make a very short statement. I want to make a very short statement. The purpose of entering into these debates on national channels is essentially to say there should be probity in public life. Probity in public life comes from all walks and from all institutions. Today, there are questions being raised with regard to all our institutions without fail. Tomorrow, we are going to have a situation where if these things are not stopped, we will move into anarchy. There will be no democratic patterns left, Mr. Malik. We are raising our views, we are expressing our views, essentially to maintain a certain discipline in our walks of life, to maintain a moral fiber for our people, and to say that institutions which are here to safeguard democracy must also act in a manner where democracy is protected and discipline is maintained.
Agreed.
We are willing to accept the fact.
But every coin has another side.
So therefore, don't turn around and say that we are biased in this panel.
It does not work like one.
Just a second. Every coin has a side and every coin has three sides.
Mr. Malik, please.
It has a head and tail. If it falls on the ground, it stands straight.
Let me very clearly tell you why it cannot be that the acquisitions that you are today, putting on, leveling on to us, cannot be that the same set of people have framed this whole incident.
We are making no accusations.
Hindu terror.
Why is it not possible? I'm sorry, we are making no accusations.
Then when you are making this assertion that this is being held by this government, is showing that the very fact that you are not ready to consider that this kind of narrative could have been said by the other government.
No, one second. Mr. Malik, first of all, there is no narrative. We are reading documents of the court.
We are on the panel.
Just as you are reading documents of the court. And I would personally put my reputation on the line to vouch for every member of the panel. They are here for a reason. They are here for their expertise. And our viewers who watch this channel on a regular basis know each of these individuals and their views and how they have stood for the law every single time.
The gentleman... The gentleman with the beard, with the white beard, who was categorically saying misuse of power, he is of the era of 75. How much of opposition did he do to Indira Gandhi's regime? How much of opposition has he done to Sonia?
Mr. Malik, all right.
How much of anti-equity journalists has he been?
Mr. Malik, every senior journalist
understands... Very unfortunate. You will bring every time Gandhi family, Indira Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi. You people don't have any other agenda.
Okay, I just want to point out that every journalist understands the pain of the emergency. And if you are making an accusation on Mr. Urmilesh, please allow him to answer. Everybody stops. Okay. I do not encourage our panelists to scream over each other because the audience cannot understand you when you do that, and it defeats our purpose, and it is not us showing respect for their time. Now, Raman Malik made an accusation against Urmilesh ji, who is a senior journalist, about why he didn't raise his voice during the emergency and other cases. Let me ask Mr. Urmilesh. Urmilesh ji, did you raise your voice at that time? How old were you? Which newspaper were you working for? What about other instances? 84, 2002 Godra, Mr. Urmilesh, did you raise your voice for all of these instances? Go ahead, please.
Yeah. मैं मलिक साहब को बताऊं कि इमरजेंसी के दौरान मैं जर्नलिस्ट नहीं था, मैं यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ इलाहाबाद में उस समय स्टूडेंट था बीए का, जब इमरजेंसी लागू की गई, और फिर मैं इमरजेंसी जब जारी रही तब भी मैं एमए प्रीवियस में आ गया फर्स्ट ईयर में, और हम लोग उस वक्त अपने हॉस्टल में उन लोगों में शुमार थे जो इमरजेंसी का विरोध कर रहे थे। तो लिखने का तो मौका नहीं था मेरे पास, क्योंकि मैं लेखक नहीं बना था या जर्नलिस्ट नहीं बना था, लेकिन हम लोगों ने अपने प्रोफेसर्स जो इलाहाबाद यूनिवर्सिटी के थे जो इमरजेंसी के विरोध में थे, आप नाम सुने हो तो सुने हो, बनवारी लाल शर्मा, प्रोफेसर रघुवंश, इन लोगों के उन शिष्यों में थे जो इमरजेंसी का विरोध कर रहे थे। पहली बात। दूसरी बात कि जिस वक्त दिल्ली में सिख विरोधी दंगा हुआ, उस वक्त हम जैसे लोग, जवाहरलाल नेहरू विश्वविद्यालय में उन दिनों में पीएचडी करके बाहर निकला था, पीएचडी छोड़कर, बल्कि एमफिल करने के बाद, और हम लोगों ने, हालांकि ये निजी जो क्लियरिफिकेशन है मुझे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, लेकिन हम लोगों ने उस दंगे के खिलाफ, उस दंगे में जो लोग इन्वॉल्व थे उनके खिलाफ अभियान चलाया था, और हम लोग जितना भी कर सकते थे स्टूडेंट्स उस समय के हम लोगों ने किया था। ये निजी सफाई देना मुझे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, लेकिन चूंकि आप पूछ रहे हैं इसलिए हम आप बता रहे हैं। तीसरी बात जो आपको बता दूं मैं कि ये जो मुद्दा है जो प्रज्ञा सिंह ठाकुर का, बस एक सेकंड में मैं खत्म कर दूंगा अपनी बात। ये इसलिए बहुत भयानक है, आप अभी सोच नहीं पा रहे हैं। आप कह रहे हैं कि पॉइजनस बायस है। अरे भाई, आप जो जिनको डिफेंड कर रहे हैं, जब वो बोलती हैं तो उनके मुंह से सिर्फ जहर निकलता है। मैं ये बात तो मुरली मनोहर जोशी के बारे में नहीं कह रहा हूं ना, मैं ये बात आपके और नेताओं के बारे में नहीं कह रहा हूं। ये आपकी जो नेत्री है, जिसको आप आगे भविष्य में देश का महान नेता बनाने का सपना देख रहे हैं,
यही पूछ रहा हूं,
क्योंकि उमा भारती भी
ये फिक्स करा गया था।
एक सेकंड
Mr. Malik, if you don't maintain the rules of the debate, I'm going to have to cut your mic, Mr. Malik. Please allow him to finish speaking. He's responding to what you are saying.
Sir, I'm just concluding. Please. अब हम आपको समझ रहे हैं कि आपकी पार्टी ने,
Do not threaten me the next time around. It would not be nice for us both.
And then 1 minute, Mr. The gentleman with the big mustaches.
To finish speaking, please.
Sir,
how do you refer like that to a gentleman saying with a white beard?
सर, हम आपकी पीड़ा, हम आपकी परेशानी समझ रहे हैं। आपके पास महिला नेताओं की कमी हो गई है। सुषमा स्वराज थक गई हैं, वो आप उनको बाहर भी करना चाहते थे बहुत दिनों से। उमा भारती भी आप हाशिए पर पड़ गई हैं, तो आपको एक फायर ब्रांड नेता चाहिए था, लेकिन आप सुमित्रा महाजन को आपने टिकट भी नहीं दिया। वो बेचारी चाहती थी, लेकिन आप इस फायर ब्रांड जिस नेता को बना रहे हैं, माफ कीजिएगा, वो ऐसी आग रखती हैं जो आपकी सियासत को भी जला सकती हैं, क्योंकि आप जो हैं एक तरफा इतने एक्सट्रीमिस्ट होकर के अगर आप लाएंगे लोगों को सामने, जो जब भी बोलती हैं जहर बोलती हैं। हेमंत करकरे के बारे में बोला, आप बाबरी मस्जिद डिमोलिशन में बढ़ चढ़कर बताया कि वो कैसे तोड़ने में लगी थी, और तीसरी बात, वो कैसे अपना प्रचार वहां कर रही है आपको शायद मालूम नहीं है। दिल्ली में बैठकर, भोपाल में बीजेपी के लोग भी जो समझदार हैं वो साइडलाइन फील कर रहे हैं। तो मुझे लगता है आपकी पार्टी को और आपको सोचना चाहिए कि
I just want to bring in another piece of evidence, if I may. Just one more piece of evidence. Mandar, I'll bring you in here. There is a lot of talk, and Pragya Thakur has spoken in public several times about the kind of torture she faced. Now, I just want to point this out. No evidence was found of torture by the Supreme Court, by the Bombay High Court, or the National Human Rights Commission. In August 2014, a rights commission was ordered with the State Director General of Police to probe Sir Pragya's allegations of torture. That rights commission found no evidence. The Supreme Court had asked for 2 medical doctors to examine her and provide a report in 2 different hospitals of any sort of injury marks on her body during the allegations of torture. Not a single injury mark was found by 2 doctors in 2 different hospitals. Also, I must remind you that the Supreme Court had noted that in Nashik, the Chief Judicial Magistrate on 2 different occasions who had taken down her statements had asked her if she was being treated badly, and she did not mention any such incident. Then the dates of that was October 24, 2008 and November 3rd, 2008. Both of these statements were then submitted to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court dismissed and said that there is no evidence whatsoever that she was either confined illegally or tortured. Mandar?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were also reporting at that time, Faye, but never we could just get those kind of evidences for that matter, or for that matter, all those kind of committees which were working under the complete vigilance of High Court as well. They have given complete clean sheet to the investigating officers, especially when they were facing such kind of serious allegations about torture, and that torture has never happened. That's what was the commission was saying. So where all these kinds of statements coming in, and where all these statements can be really defended by Pragya Thakur.
I'll tell you from where.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Malik, tell us from where.
I'll tell you. I would request you, Faye, as the editor-in-chief of this channel, that there's somebody who's just got released from in the same case, who was named in the same case, Ramesh Upadhyay. Please ask him what all was happening. He's
Why
come
would I
on
ask
record
him?
and stated.
I don't consider
Please
Ramesh
ask
Upadhyay
him.
bigger than the Supreme Court of India, Mr. Malik. I'm reading out of the Supreme Court of India.
No.
And Bombay High Court.
Why I'm
Bombay.
saying so is, when you want to implement and you want to do something with a malified intent, there are a lot of ways and means to do it.
Are you
Don't you think we believe in
They
Bombay
are
High
trying
Court?
to suggest some
No, no,
people
no.
on
And
your
the
panel were
committees.
trying to suggest that post. Please listen
Mr.
now.
Malik,
Then
you're-
I can also do
Supreme
the
Court,
same
Mr.
thing.
Malik.
Rubbish.
So the same principles which they are trying to profess.
Faye, can I get back to take
Are,
the
when you are
gentleman
trying
on
to talk
with
and
the
you,
blue
I
moustache?
say something then.
No,
and
Mr. Malik, I do not
you are
encourage,
going
and I want to
rubbish.
make it very clear on this channel, we do not encourage the doubting of the credibility of the Supreme Court. Mr. Chaudhary, do you have a response to that? And I want to make
No,
it clear,
but
the channel doesn't
why am I
support
not supposed to
anyone
point
questioning
out?
the credibility of the
See,
Supreme
all
Court.
that
Mr.
I'm
Chaudhary, go ahead.
suggesting, Faye, all that I'm suggesting is,
I have noticed
Please
one
listen.
thing,
All that
all
I'm
these
suggesting is,
spokespersons of the
right
BJP
now,
are so
that you
arrogant,
must look
and
at
they
it
talk as
that
though
we
they
must
own the
play
world.
from a devil's advocate point,
Mr.
and
Malik over
if they
here
are saying this
calls
fact,
the gentleman
that
with the
post
white
Malik,
beard.
please.
parliament, things
I'd
are
like
How
to
would
hear
it have
Mr.
been
Chaudhary,
all right?
please, if I may.
This is not fair at all.
Mr.
Mr.
Chaudhary, go
Malik,
ahead.
we can outshout you.
No, there is no need. Mr.
Please
Chaudhary, go
don't
ahead.
talk in between. You see, the issue is this. First, they want to become aggressive. Then whoever criticizes them is either anti-national or he is poisonously biased. What poison will we have against this chit of a little lady, young lady? She is there, she is contesting, fine. We are only discussing the moralities of her contesting. Is she crossing the limits in which is expected that the candidate of a nationalist political party who is banking on almost jingoistically nationalist, should she talk in this manner which will affect the very diversity of our nation? Should she be allowed to polarize? Should she be allowed to come out with such statements? And she is doing it every day. It's not coming in the papers. But we here, I am from Madhya Pradesh, we get news from Bhopal, she's really gone berserk. Every now and then she is raising issues where it's either Hindus or Muslims or do this or do that. It's not required. And this what the Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, where has it gone? Gone with the wind. That is all. We don't hear anything about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. We don't hear anything about lack of employment. We don't hear anything about the effects of the monetary policies and how it's going to be everything is gone. Now Modi ji becomes an OBC all of a sudden. So what is this happening? Then are we going to remain a democracy or not? Yes. This is the issue. And the issue is whether an ultra-nationalist party like BJP, who talks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, ought to have put up such candidate who joined the party one day before and suddenly she's forced upon the people of Bhopal to just on the ground that the response of the Chief Minister of Maharashtra today, she is a reply to Hindu terror. Now, what can you say if a Chief Minister talks like that? And the same breath, he says, no, she is very wrong because she has said something very unpleasant about Karkare. Hemant Karkare.
Yes, we have one more guest who hasn't spoken. Yes, Mr. Chaudhary. Vivekanand Natram is with us. He's an RSS supporter. Mr. Natram, very clear question. I'll ask you a very pointed question. You joined us late, so we haven't been able to bring you in. Pragya Thakur, being a candidate, contesting the election, has made a public statement that she was part of the Babri Masjid demolition and that she took part in that demolition. Now, very senior leaders like Mr. Advani and Mr. Murli Manohar Joshi are facing charges right now in court for that demolition and are in the attempt to prove their innocence. Do you believe that action should be taken against Pragya Thakur because she has confessed on television that she took part in an illegal activity?
Faye, I must confess that I am not aware of the statement and that is why I would not like to comment on this. But since I've come, I would like to, I was told that whether she is liable to contest or not. I must state at the outset that until proven guilty, she is innocent and that cardinal principle of the law should be followed. One thing. Another thing is that if, because she is accused and certain charges are leveled against her, she shouldn't be allowed to contest. So there are other persons, I shouldn't name them, but then there are other persons who are contesting elections this time who are on the bail, and that is there cannot be duality that we can, we can apply to selective cases. We cannot cherry pick certain cases, and that is why I support. And then another thing that please give me a moment to state that. Why her candidature? Because a particular ideology, a particular political party tried to malign the majority of this country. The saffron terror, the large Hindu community was conceived to be the terrorist community, the community which believes, the philosophy that believes Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Sarvetra Sukhina Santu, Sarve Santu Niramaya, and that community was the community was labeled as terrorist community, and I think this is a fitting reply to all these elements who tried to portray the entire community as a terrorist community.
Do you believe that accusing a member, and you're talking, you keep saying community, obviously you're referring to the Hindu community, that accusing one member of that community is effectively accusing the entire community? I mean, talk about all of the people who are in jail for various cases, who will be from every community possible. There are Christian people in jail for rape and for murder and for robbing and for dacoity. There are Hindu people, there are Muslim people, there are Parsi people, there are every kind of person in jail, and that doesn't in any way imply that there is an entire community of people should take offense to an accusation or to an investigation. I think that per se...
If the particular individual has...
Particular individual has what?
Ma'am, if that individual is termed as terrorist, we wouldn't have much of problem. But then saffron terror, saffron signifies Hinduism, and that is we have problem with.
No, nobody talks about that.
The saffron terror.
Mr. Chaudhary wants to respond. Mr. Chaudhary, go ahead.
I come from Maharashtra and I have listened to his statement.
Mr. Chaudhary will
I think this gentleman is, he has a rather skewed views of things and rather myopic approach towards things. Nobody is accusing. How can it be possible? All of us here, we have relations in Hindus and Muslims, all Indian people are all interrelated with each other. How can you say that because of this lady being called a person facing from terror charges, they say Hindu terror, and the person who had claimed this, coined this word, is R.K. Singh, who was then the Home Secretary, who is now a minister in the BJP government. No, he is the one who coined this word, Hindu terror. But that was also wrong. I say Mr. R.K. Singh was absolutely wrong. No terrorism should be labeled either Hindu or by any religion at all. Terrorism per se is terrorism. Finito.
Terrorism must be condemned, but how?
Yes, absolutely. No, if somebody has said that he is wrong. You see, somebody who said that is wrong, but that does not mean.
So hang on. Just quick rebuttal. Okay, I think I completely agree with Mr. Chaudhary. Mr. Chaudhary, 1 second. I completely agree with you that attributing terrorism to any sort of religion is completely wrong. Terrorists are terrorists. Criminals are criminals. People who murder innocents are terrorists. But I want to go back to Mr. Natram with a quick question. Mr. Natram, my question is this. You said the candidature is justified to combat the bogey of Hindu terror. Let's all accept that that term itself is derogatory and should have never been used. Do you honestly believe that this individual is qualified to sit in parliament and write laws that apply to the entire country, because that's what being an MP is about? What qualifies this individual to write laws that Mr. Vasudev and Mr. Chaudhary and Mr. Manan will have to argue, you will have to use and refer to for the rest of their careers and argue in court, that the Supreme Court will have to refer to? She will write our laws. How is that justified? Whatever her history may be, how is that justified?
Ma'am, I would like to draw your attention, if that standard is to be applied, that parameter is to be applied, then that must have been applied to the case of 1984 when Mrs. Indira Gandhi, when she was killed, Rajiv Gandhi had said, when a big tree falls, the earth shakes. And that person was then elected and was made Prime Minister. Mr. Kamal Nath, the Chief Minister, current Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, he had serious charges against him.
No, sorry. Absolutely false and wrong. There's not a single report against Mr. Kamal Nath. Don't give a false statement here. Show one report, otherwise this is blasphemous and this is defamatory what you're saying now.
No, this is not blasphemous.
Yes, this is defamatory.
And even in that case,
very sorry. Show me that one FIR when there is not even a whisper of Kamal Nath's name anywhere. He has been a cabinet minister for so many years. Then nobody of none of the BJP.
1 second, gentlemen, let's just give Mr. Vasudev an opportunity to respond. Mr. Vasudev, I saw your hand go up. So
it was always opposed.
What about just 1 second, gentlemen. Mr. Vasudev, what about because it happened in 84, and we've all argued about the fact that the law itself at this point is flawed. Under trials are allowed to contest elections from inside jail, although they're not allowed to vote. And that is fundamentally wrong and perhaps should be changed. But saying that because it happened in 84, shouldn't we be holding ourselves to a higher standard, Mr. Vasudev?
That's exactly what I said to you at the beginning. It is time that we relook the entire process of elections and who should be allowed to contest them. We should not permit persons with antecedents of questionable natures to participate in parliamentary affairs. Parliament is the significance of our democracy. It is the significance of correctness. It is the example of promptitude. It is a system of delivery of justice. It represents everything. It represents our constitution. If we permit persons, like we have permitted, there are hundreds of people who have criminal cases pending against them. They're becoming lawmakers. See the kind of laws we make. See the kind of situations which arise. Because there is no debate on legislation. Because there's no debate, because there is no intention to debate on legislation. It is the intention to stay in the house and for the purposes of personal gain. This is the sadness of our system. Persons with criminal antecedents come in. For what purpose? What is the need for bringing them in? Would you like to vote for one of them? We have 5 people on the panel. Would anyone vote for a person with criminal antecedents? Is this the example we want to set?
Yes.
Is this the situation we want to create? If this is the intention, well, we have done our nation a disfavor by bringing about laws or systems which we cannot implement in the larger interests of a democracy called India, that is Bharat.
Yes,
sad.
I have to unfortunately I've run out of time, but in conclusion, I just want to say, and I want to carry forward what Mr. Vasudev has said. I know that watching at home right now, you are filled with a sense of helplessness. We are not helpless, especially not now. Right now, the fate of our democracy lies with 2 sets of people. One, the Election Commission. The Election Commission currently is the custodian of our democracy. And we beseech the Election Commission to please do your job, create a level playing field, and be the custodian of the democracy for this entire period. The second set of people are the people of India who are currently in the process of voting in a new government. Just place in front of yourself a very, very clear rule. Do not vote for anyone who is facing heinous charges against them at this point. That information is available clearly on the internet because every candidate has to declare the cases that they're facing against them. Do not vote for anyone who's facing cases of murder, of rape, of kidnapping, and of waging war against the state. The choice really is yours. We are not helpless. Thanks for watching.